field blast off, watch them all fall. This is AFC North Talk. Got me hype, it's about to be a touchdown. Got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. Are you listening? It's time to get it hype. Tune in when the season poppin'. Yeah, we going live. Hey, knock 'em out. Hey, first down, going hard. Yes, indeed. AFC North Talk. Let's go. Hey, AFC North Talk.
We got to remake that intro.
Welcome to a ceremonious episode of AFC North Talk. A sad one because we got Tony. If you weren't paying attention to the last one, this will be possibly his last podcast before taking a break. So it will probably be a while before you see Tony again. Obviously, a lot of people in the comments are saluting Tony and giving the respect. I think we all are on the same page. This is going to be a sad day seeing Tony's last episode for a while. So I'm sure it's going to be a banger into Tony fashion. I mean, we're leaving it out on a high note with the safety ranking show. Yeah. So Tony, just want to thank you for everything that you've done, bro. You've been a great teammate. You've done a lot of stuff behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know. This show would not run without you. So just wanted to give you your flowers, bro. Like, as a Steelers fan, you're easily my favorite Steelers fan. Love your analysis, respect everything that you do, bro. So definitely wanted to give you your flowers before this last episode.
I appreciate that. Especially love the, even as a Steelers fan, I got a lot of that this week, right? From like Bengals and especially from Bengals and Browns fans. Somehow, I don't know. I guess I haven't pissed Ravens fans off enough over the past couple years.
Although, you're not me in that aspect,
Although Sonny and I have gotten into such heated arguments, he took his shirt off at one point. So I tried. It's not from lack of trying. No, listen. It's bittersweet for me today. For those of you who did not watch last week's show, I am. Yeah, the word retiring is so stupid because we're essentially amateur podcasters. But I am retiring. I am retiring from podcasting. Essentially, I'm just gonna take a year off. Enjoy football as a fan. See how that goes, and then reevaluate.
No, actually, we're covering it up. Sony's been suspended by the league for gambling on the Pro Bowl. Yeah, so we gotta wait to see if he gets reinstated next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm going on the was that the commissioner's exempt list?
Yeah, he's on that. Well, no, he was on. He was. We got him off the exempt list. Now you got Sue Robinson came down, handed down the indefinite suspension. So. Yeah. With a year at least, so there it is.
For sure. Well, shout out to our Patreons.
Roger Goodell
have the AFC North Talk Patreon. Please be sure to check that out. If you just Google AFC North Talk Patreon, you'll be able to find that. That's for patrons of the show that want to get even more access to that content. So shout out to Adam Holland, Dom Gazzulo, Luis Cousin, Leo Sell, Ray Rags, Wesley Worrell. We also have Christian Rob as well. So shout out to you guys. If you do want to join it, like I said, you can find our tiers there. We do other access stuff, other videos, especially during the season. So definitely be sure to check that out. But with that being said, QC, how you doing? Sonny, how you doing? And Tony, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I want to say one other thing about the comments I received last week. First of all, a lot of really nice comments. So let's start. Before I rip on a couple people, let me start by saying, really appreciate all the comments that everybody left on the video last week. Obviously it's always nice to see that people cared and people listen to the show. And as I said last week, like I do have so much respect for everyone who watches this show because it's such a unique show. This is not, no one's out here with the pom-poms, like, rah, rah, go team. Everybody gets called out when we do get to, we get a little too much in our own hype. But I do want to call out a couple people last week who made, and I knew this comment was coming. And I just want to call out the people who said, well, Tony's leaving because Kenny Pickett. He's scared of Kenny Pickett. Hey, everybody, go just real quick. Just turn on Friday's highlights. Let me know how you felt about Kenny's performance on Friday. You're welcome. And there's a lot more of that coming over the next 17 weeks. And I will absolutely.
Are we talking about preseason?
And I will. We're talking about a game, Sonny. A game, not practice. A game.
Hey, look, that throw did get Pittsburgh into the number 1 seed in the preseason playoffs.
We are, by the way, I mean the Steelers are they are a lock right now. And Sonny, I understand the Ravens haven't lost a preseason game in 95 years or whatever. I'm not saying that.
Why 95? Right why 95?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, 95 years.
That is Sonny. Like, you understand why 95 was just a wild number to land on there?
I know, right?
It's crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
Maybe 95 is a little bit better.
That relates with the Steelers and the Browns and the Ravens. Tony.
I have no idea. I actually have no idea what I just did there.
I'll tell you, Bill Belichick just was coaching for the Browns at one point, and then all of a sudden he got fired by the Ravens.
Great job.
What year?
Well, great job, boys. Great job. Yeah. So anyway, we just want to throw that out there. Just wanted to say,
subconsciously he throws shots at the Browns.
I just can't help myself. And by the way, we're gonna have a fun time on today's show because for those of you who want to know why I'm leaving the show, again, I want to enjoy football as a fan, not as an analyst. So today's rankings are going to be, more as a fan and less as an analyst. And I can't wait to get started.
Well, we know he's a Grand Delpit fan.
All right. Before we get into the fourth ranking of this, I've got a couple of super chats here. One from People for $2. Appreciate that. Who is better, Tyler Boyd or OBJ? Is Boyd better than Lamar Jackson? Pretty much figured this one was coming because of my viral tweet this week. Boyd or OBJ? I mean, if you're talking about OBJ from the Super Bowl,
are you talking career? Right? Like it all depends.
Obviously, OBJ.
Baker Mayfield will pay for his crimes one day. Like Odell Beckham was getting compared to Jerry Rice before he came here, dog. Like what happened to his career? We forget how good everybody thought Odell was.
Yeah.
Better or right now, OBJ or Boyd?
Well, I will say this. We'll have to see what Odell is. Like right now, last year he didn't play, right? So it'd be hard to assess.
Isn't Tyler Boyd just carried by the rest of his weapons though? Like he's basically, just a volume shooter.
Of course.
We got to put out there. Like, what are you doing? Put this in debt.
I don't have to do anything, Q.
I know. You're giving us debt. This is crazy.
Like I'm not even sure Tyler Boyd is good. He's just a guy out there at this point. You know what I mean? He's just like another dude.
He should ask for a trade.
Ace,
what's up?
Can you do me a favor? While reading the super chat, can you read? There was a super thanks from last show.
I'll read it. I got it pulled up.
Yeah, if you can pull that up for me, please.
All right, we had a super thanks from Cocaine Bear 262. So this is definitely a Tony fan. $10 says, I'm gonna miss Q and Tony arguing every week. Thanks for all the laughs. Go Browns. Oh wow. I guess I am.
Got another one here from Silent Wolf for $4.99. Really late Wednesday show. Goodbye, Tony.
Tony, can we make it retroactively say that your number was 2 so it could be goodbye Tooney? You know what I mean? Like hashtag goodbye Tooney. You need a hashtag for your retirement.
By the way, guys, we gotta start doing shows a little bit later now that I'm over here in the US. The guys here adjusted to me.
He don't gotta risk death anymore when his Ravens play on prime time. Like
I know. I can sleep.
They lose to the Dolphins on Thursday night last year.
It's one of the things that I'm going to miss, though, is so what people don't realize, because Sonny was in the UK. So, again, we had to move the start time because this show used to be around this time every day.
Yeah.
Then we moved to the UK, so we had to move the start time up. Right. But there were days where Sonny would have to watch like a night primetime Ravens game and then go straight to work. Or he works early in the morning. So I remember there were times where we would get on this show and Sonny's and we're in the pre-show and Sonny's like, guys, I think I only slept for like 2. I'm going to like 2 hours sleep right now. He's exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm going to piss you off today, Sonny. I'm going to make some real good hot takes.
Yeah. It's always good when the Ravens lost at prime night.
You got to get that blood pumping,
No, they lost to the Dolphins on prime time. And then Sonny had to definitely go to work because that was on a Thursday. Like that was.
Did they lose? Did they lose any other primetime games last year? Hold on, I'm trying to think.
I played them all.
I mean, every primetime game they played after. They lost to the Browns on prime time on a Saturday.
I feel like there was
the Najee Roquan.
The Najee game. Roquan Smith.
The Kenny Pickett game winner game. Oh, was that primetime?
I don't think it was primetime, was it? I can't remember.
Well, listen, they knew Kenny in primetime. That's numbers, baby. That's numbers.
Kenny has another primetime game.
We can go ahead and get into the fourth team. For me, I'll go first.
Roquan Smith.
We're talking about the safeties, the rankings. So for me, it's got to be the Bengals here. I think that they obviously out of all of the teams in the division have the most question marks other than anybody, especially walking away from Von Bell as well as Jesse Bates. All-pro, former All-Pro, former second-team All-Pro Jesse Bates is no longer a Bengal. I don't think that this is a bad room, though. I honestly was surprised, especially based off of last week's game, how well the safety room kind of looked. Like, I expected Dax Hill to be pretty good. He's a first-round pick. Didn't expect Tyson Anderson to get 2 picks, though. Did not see that coming. And then you got Nick Scott, who didn't play last week. And then you also had Jordan Battle, who I liked out of Alabama. He played pretty well, especially in there as a starter. And then you also have Michael Thomas. So this room, to me, has a lot of questions, but I feel a lot more comfortable about this room than I did this time a week ago, whereas I just kind of didn't know what to expect. I actually felt more confident in the corner room and like the corner depth than I did with the safeties. And after the first game, that is completely flip-flopped from what I've seen. So not a bad safety room, but clearly in the North where you have, guys that are established, you got all pros in the room, you got pro bowlers, you got perennial guys that have done something for a while. That is just not this room. So I've got the Bengals at 4.
I don't hate that. You want me to go? You want me to go next?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see who I'm going to put number 4. Number 4 for me, the Bengals could easily be a 4 for the reasons you outlined. There's a lot of question marks around that team. They lost obviously both starters last year, but Dax Hill had an interesting game. I don't know if you guys saw this. Tyson Anderson obviously had 2 pick sixes, right? Anybody seen what his PFF grade was? I know PFF grades are very silly, but has anybody seen his PFF grade? He got a 97. Like basically the perfect game of football is what PFF is saying. PFF is saying Tyson Anderson is on pace to be the greatest safety that has ever graced the field. I have the Browns 4. Now, some are gonna call me a hater. Some are gonna say, Tony, why are you hating on the Browns? I am actually legitimately hating on the Browns, and that's why I put them 4. Here's the thing: I like Juan Thornhill a lot. When Juan Thornhill was coming out, I was on Locked On Steelers. Me and my co-host Chris Carter both loved Juan Thornhill. The tape he put out at Virginia was tremendous. I thought his game would translate far better than it has. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I thought he could come in and be a superstar, real ball hawk, very instinctual player. That hasn't translated a ton. I mean, he would not say he was bad on Kansas City, but he's not been an all-star. And then everybody knows how much I loved Grant Delpit. Grant Delpit was a guy who I thought the Steelers were going to go after if they did not make the Minka trade. So everybody knows how much I love these guys. Here's the problem I have with the Browns. And this is where hater Tony comes in. The Browns are the Browns, you go back to the show that we did in free agency when they signed John Johnson. No one on this show, I think I might have even loved that signing more than Q did. I loved the John Johnson signing. I loved everything he did in that Wade Phillips defense in with the Rams. I was like, man, this guy comes in. Now you got Grant Delpit alongside him. You talk about a defense with Myles Garrett up front. They're going to be able to make this work, right? Somehow, some way, we talked about this just a segment ago with OBJ. Somehow, some way, the Browns, I just can't trust them. So they just happen to turn good players into, look what they did to Deshaun Watson. Again, look what happened. Again, that's not to say there's not talent there. Obviously, we all know Deshaun Watson's a talented player. But I mean, you just wouldn't know it by watching the player when he has the orange helmet on. So I love this show, by the way. Can I just leave the show every week? Because this is so much fun. I have the Browns number 4.
Is it me?
Yeah,
was everybody expecting me to go?
Yeah.
Respond to that nonsense that I just heard, that trolling. He likes 2 out of the 3 players on the defense in the secondary. He doesn't like any of the Bengals. And he said Dax Hill had a good game, and he put the Browns behind him. I know what's going on here.
The Browns make good players bad. Again.
Yeah, Joe Woods. It would be Joe Woods. the reason I wasn't excited, Joe Woods, I knew that he was still in charge.
Well, and that's true. And they upgraded at D coordinator with Jim Schwartz. And Jim Schwartz, I remember Jim Schwartz did eventually, do well enough as a coordinator to get a head coaching job. It was with the Lions. But I mean, I guess he gets like, an A for effort on that. So anyway.
I mean, he was the Eagles defensive coordinator when they won the Super Bowl.
I guess I wasn't their DC. I think he was an assistant with them. I don't think he was actually.
No, he was DC. He changed
DC,
to it.
DC
he was like an assistant for the Titans. He was defensive coordinator.
Oh, that's right.
Trust me, I've had to talk about Jim Schwartz all fucking time. I know this man's whole biography. Okay.
Q, am I to understand that you are also putting the Browns at number 4?
I was until Ace gave me the leeway to go Bengals 4 here. I was. That's why I was so excited. I was like, there's no way I could justify putting the Browns anywhere before because of how bad they were last year.
Yeah.
But
however,
Ace made the argument for me, so I'm good here. I got the Bengals here for. They have lost a lot of pieces. There's a lot of new pieces in that secondary. I think if you are in that situation now, I can't compare what the Browns did versus what the Bengals did. Now I have to compare what the room talent looks like, and I would take the Browns room over the Bengals room. So that's how that tiebreaker goes. So I could put the Bengals here at 4, and I feel like that's a legitimate take. Thank you, Ace. I appreciate that one. I didn't think he was going to set the pick for me, man. Like I wasn't expecting the screen. I was like, oh yes, I needed that.
For me, I think in this division in safeties, there's a clear divide between the top 2 and the 3 and 4.
The top 1, then the second one, and then 3.
No, top 2 and 3 and 4. We'll talk about the top 2 later.
We will.
But number 4 for me, it is the Bengals as well. The problem with the Bengals, not a problem. It's just they're in the transition phase, right? They drafted Dax the year before to be the safety. I think they'll overtake the Browns by the end of the year. The thing with the Browns is we've seen flashes for some of these players. They have the hope, right? I think with the Bengals, Dax, I like them a lot. Coming out of college from Michigan, I did like them a lot. Like him a lot. The other ones I have some questions mark. The kid from Bama, I also like them. But if you think about it, there's a lot of question marks because there's a lot of playing time. So mistakes will be made, especially early. I mean, we went through this with Hamilton early in the year last year. It's just part of it. It's part of the growth.
Well, I remember everybody was making a big deal about like Kyle Hamilton getting beat by like a third string running back in a one-on-one.
Yeah.
It ended up not mattering.
But at the beginning of the year, remember that Dolphins game last year? It was 2 rookies. Kyle Hamilton was out of position in one, and the other one was Armour Davis. Anyway, those things happen. I know Dax is not a rookie, but he still doesn't have a lot of playing time. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be a baller. But for now, because the Bengals I think they have more question marks it's because of inexperience, right? It's basically because of inexperience. That's why I have them 4th.
Wow, are you serious? I just looked at who Pro Football Focus says is the best safety in the NFL.
What's that?
I just looked at who Pro Football Focus says is the best safety in the NFL.
Who? Tell him. 1-4? Is it 1-4?
It's Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah. Last year, yeah.
Okay, and I can't wait to talk about this. I cannot wait to talk about the Ravens at 2. I cannot wait to talk about the Ravens.
Apparently, Marcus Williams is a scrub in comparison, man. Like 18th.
I mean, it's trash. Yeah, trash. Absolutely.
Before we toss it to, I think everybody went. Before we go to number 3, though, we got a couple of super chats.
So it was. Sonny. So now that Pro Football Focus has said that, so you agree with me that it was Kyle Hamilton that changed the Ravens defense in the last half of the season and not Roquan Smith?
No.
No. Got a super chat here for $1.99 from Habitual Line Stepper. Says, hope you return, Tony. Enjoy your retirement.
Appreciate that.
Got another one from One As a Dad for $2. Appreciate that. What's your least favorite moment versus teams in the division?
What's your least favorite Browns moment?
I got a couple. I mean,
everybody knows mine. Everybody knows mine. I live
Mine-
here on the show.
Any
Okay,
of mine would definitely
let's do this.
The Steelers. They'd all have to be against the Steelers. It's either the Carson Palmer one or it's the Vontaze Burfict and Pac-Man Jones.
Yeah. Does week 1 rank for you at all last year? Does week 1 last year rank for you?
From doing this show, all of us, from doing this show, a moment from each team in the division that was your least favorite moment that team delivered to you. Starting with Tony, starting with the Browns.
Browns would probably be the Baker Mayfield, the DPJ.
That was a rough one because the Browns are complete jinx that year. And they put it together for one day.
Over the top day for the win. The Ravens, I'm trying to think of one against the Ravens. Probably when we called the what was it, like the Statue of Liberty play in the red zone last year? That was like one of the dumbest play calls ever against the Ravens. But more than likely, it actually would probably be Ed Reed like picking us off in the early 2000s. It always seemed like there was always an Ed Reed or Ray Lewis play, to the point where when both of those guys retired, I popped the bottle. Literally popped the bottle as soon as those guys retired and moved on from their team.
We know what Sonny's with the Bengals.
I have two. I have two for the Bengals. I have two. For the Bengals, obviously what happened last year in the playoffs, but even more than that, that 4th and 12.
4th and 12.
Yeah, 4th and 12.
That ruined my Christmas. And then for the
Steelers, who made the playoffs that year after the Ravens got?
The following year they were crying, but and then the Palomaro strip on Flacco and the that was a playoff game. I think.
Well, it wasn't a pick. No, that wasn't a strip. That was a pick 6.
No. He was drop. The one that I'm talking about, he's dropping back. And then he comes on a blitz.
There's so many plays.
Yeah, you walked right into that when you gave him it. You gave him it.
Now, the other thing is no cap Q, but you can remind me of some. I can't remember one for the Browns.
Oh,
see, look, that 2019 game had y'all shook. Before they won all those games in a row after it. I remember it was like a whooping. I remember after the Browns beat the Ravens in 2019, it was like the 4th or 5th week of the season. Engraver had a emergency State of the Ravens stream, and it was like 14 Ravens YouTubers all like complaining about Peanut.
Okay. I wonder. Okay, yeah. I'm trying to think of like. I mean, obviously that was an ass whooping game. Yeah, that was
a whooping. Yep.
That was a. We'll talk about
it. But that didn't mark us like a strip fumble or that 4th and 12.
Anything. That's just
that was early in the year.
Maybe we almost did in 2018, but then Baker threw the pick at the end of the game.
I'll be interested to know of Q's answer when it comes to Browns against like worst moment against the Ravens. There's one that answer
Browns against the Browns.
Because I think there's one that I remember, Browns versus Ravens, that was like traumatizing to me as someone who wanted the Ravens to lose badly.
The pick 6 from Baker, from Mosley.
Which one? I don't.
Talking about the 4 interceptions.
Are you talking about the field goal kick that got returned on Monday Night Football?
Oh, I love that one. Yeah,
pick 6.
That one I still remember, and I wanted both teams to lose.
Are we doing all time or since we started doing this show?
Yeah, whatever.
There's too much to get. There's too much for me to dig from.
Well, since we started doing the show,
see, it's hard with the Bengals because like nothing's really happened in recent memory. That like you would have to go all the way. Like I don't even think since expansion because like most of the time the Browns just kind of sucked. Like and then the Bengals were a playoff team, so it never ended up being that consequential. The Steelers. I mean, where do I start? There was Corey Coleman dropping that damn pass to lock in 0-16 against the damn Steelers. There was the game in 2007 where Josh Cribbs returned the kick back in the touchdown. We thought we was about to make this run and then we lost it. How
about when Landry Jones got hurt, and then Ben came in off the bench and threw for like 400 yards.
See, I don't even remember that, man. Like, once Ben steps in, dog, I'm good. Like, I already know. Like, it doesn't hurt me.
That was peak, like Ben being a diva. Like, I'm injured, but he just comes in. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm fine. I'm with over.
I'm injured, but like, oh yeah, we play the Browns. I'm not about to miss out on this bonus. I'm about to get off of it. We'd have made that contract so much larger over the years for Ben Roethlisberger. Like, the way he played against the Browns for no good damn reason, you would think he got like an extra $100K just for beating the Browns every year.
Didn't you pass on him, Q?
That's what he says.
He's from Miami of Ohio.
Don't worry,
they took another player from Miami of Florida. He was great for them.
Kellen Winslow was good. Like Kellen Winslow was good for like 2 years when he was on the field. He had like 1,000 yards in 2007 at tight end. Like that didn't happen. You know what I mean? He was a different beast, but he's a terrible person now. But let's see. Is there any more Steelers trauma that they? Oh yeah, the Baker Mayfield game where TJ Watt got 5 sacks and we let Ben get his win back. Like I would never forgive Baker Mayfield. And then Baker Mayfield quit at that season, that whole 2021 season. The Browns lose to the Steelers. Odell gets to quit the team, and then the Steelers destroy the Browns the second and last week before the season starts, and then Baker quits the team.
Literally in the press conference,
destroyed that.
My people are going to get my people.
Just destroyed that team, and the Ravens. I don't know. Pookie Scoot got to be up there, right? The Dookie Scoot got to be there.
The birth of the Pepto Lamar. How about that?
Yeah, man took a deuce, came back, threw a touchdown, and had the nerve to lie about it. Like we didn't all watch that on national TV.
He came on 4th down.
He did the full Dookie Scoot. Like he was like doing the waddle. Like he moved like Siaki to the bathroom. You know what I mean?
So much better.
Oh yeah, that was terrible. And then Browns versus the Browns. That's just been the last 2 years, dog. Like that's just been the last 2 years of us getting it our own way. Like that's the whole Kane York missing a 40-yard field goal to win the game. What was it? Something stupid. Oh, the Jets game last year where we gave up 14 points to Joe Flacco. You know what I mean?
I'm a big fan of that one.
It was like 30 seconds. And by the way, Joe Flacco had no timeouts.
Great job. For me, Ravens one is easy. It's the Flacco, the only game in the playoffs that they beat the Steelers. I was actually at that game, so.
Can we add Jacksonville to this conversation for Tony?
Yeah, no, they were a former division team, but they are not now.
If you can't come up with nothing for Cincinnati, you got to throw Jacksonville in there.
Obviously, the Browns one is the COVID year playoff game. That game sucked. I mean, that was just like a disaster from the word go. And just, it's like a train wreck where you're like, how can this please end?
Well, and then they did the thing where they almost came back, but then they punted.
Yeah, I mean, that year, that team couldn't make
you along all the way to the 4th quarter and be like, nah.
What a stupid ass team that was, because they just couldn't even, like, they were just so afraid of 1 yard to go and like, oh, we can't. Oh no, 1 yard, we can't do that. The Bengals. I mean, obviously the Bengals have had some success against the Steelers in the past, but the one that I actually like, the thing that keeps coming back to mind when I think about this, Super Bowl II, last year's game. When they had the chance to sweep, they were up at halftime in that game. I mean, the thing about that game is obviously long shot that Kenny's going to outplay Burrow, but people forget they were up at halftime in that game. That was a competitive game up until the 4th quarter when the Bengals pulled away. That one hurt because man, I mean,
heel Tony was about to come out.
We have not seen a heel Tony like that. It would have been another level. They're like, how like Dragon Ball Z had Saiyan and then they introduced Super Saiyan.
It'd have been Tony Pickett on the show.
I would have actually.
He would have had gloves on
hair in that moment.
He did the whole show with gloves on.
Goodness.
So yeah, that one hurt bad.
Got another one here from TT Schaefer for $4.99. Appreciate that. Started watching Tony from his pods with Carter. Love you, man. Enjoy the time off. Go Steelers, baby. Duck Hodges forever.
Duck Hodges.
My fire 924 for $2. Is Dixon the only player to win a Super Bowl on 2 North teams?
What Dixon is he talking about?
Is he talking about Dennis Dixon?
Dennis Dixon?
Didn't the Ravens used to have a tight end that was named Dixon?
Ed Dixon. Yeah, but he didn't go to the North. He went to the Panthers.
Well, no offense, everyone, but we're talking about Steelers or Ravens players right now. No offense.
We didn't have to do that. That was so unnecessary. We weren't even interjecting in the conversation. We was letting y'all have that one. You know what I mean? You ain't had to do that.
Clarifying.
Yeah.
In the room.
Unnecessary. Like y'all was talking to each other. You're like, hold on 1 second. Let me shoot Q and A real quick. All right, yeah, let's continue back to this conversation.
I don't know what he's talking about. So if you can clarify,
he's talking about Dennis Dixon.
It's got to be Dennis Dixon.
Yeah.
The quarterback?
Nobody cares about Dennis Dixon.
Yeah. The quarterback.
From Oregon?
Let's see. Ravens.
He was on the Steelers.
Ravens O Nation for $5. Tony, in your last show, I won't complain if you had the Steelers won, because we all know if we were doing all-time, Troy Polamalu is inferior to Ed Reed.
Easy. That's easy.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate vibes versus book like argument, because like Ed Reed is definitely, I read the book, I study the film, I know what to do. And Troy Polamalu's like, man, that's gonna mess up my instincts reading all that film, dog. Like I would just feel it.
Yeah, I mean, Ed Reed try hard, and no one likes to try hard. So.
Look, him and Ben Roethlisberger must have been amazing together, because like those are both the ultimate. I'll just feel it out there, guys. Like, you know what I mean?
It's awesome to watch a player like that who just like, you know,
feels it out. Like,
we're out here just doing things on vibes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Firepower 129, $2 super chat says, enjoy your retirement with Steeler owner Tom Brady.
We could have skipped. We could have skipped that one. I would have.
Surprised that was no
fireplace. That's a pretty good troll.
Do you have a burner up there?
Well, fireplace. It's a good troll. Here's another level to take it to the next level. Got a super chat $12. You know what I mean? Like you gotta just throw the 12 in or 7. You know what I mean?
Ty Kendall with the super chat for $10. Appreciate that, Ty. If there's anyone I trust to get the most potential out of the Bengals safeties, it's Lou. People forget he was a main factor in developing Xavier Howard and turning him into what he was at his peak. Yep, Lou was a former secondary coach. We'll see what he's able to get up out of these guys.
Shout out to Lou, man, because I remember when Ace was out here called him Lou and a boo-boo.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, at first, when that
transition happened, when they was like, we get rid of Carlos, we get rid of Gino.
When he called the cover 0 against the Browns, and that's when Carlos Dunlap got
and then Carlos Dunlap went into the media like, why did he do that?
What are we doing? How Care for $5 says that his least favorite Ravens moment was when we were garbage and they all mugged our players to the end of the game instead of punting the ball away. No class.
Oh, is he a Steeler fan?
He looks like he's a Bengals fan because he's got the Joe Burrow driving the truck.
That is a very similar thing. Okay, the Ravens did this to the Steelers too. This is another least favorite moment.
Stop this.
The Ravens beat the crap out of the Steelers in week 1. I think it was a shutout. It might have been like 35-0, and they went for 2 at the end of the game. At the end of the game, they went for 2.
I'm not gonna hear this with no Steelers fan. Okay, Joey Porter punching William Green in the mouth and then winning by 30 in the game. How about Antonio Brown decided to do a front flip and kick the punter in the face in the same game? Remember that?
Very respectable. That's an all-time moment.
Yeah. The Steelers would never. The Steelers would never disrespect somebody like that. Is when they garbage and put dirt. Well, Bill Cowher out here telling everybody that they didn't let the Steelers run out at the tunnel at the beginning of the game because they don't respect you. And then we got blown out by 50 on our debut back as a football team on Monday Night Football. Disrespectful organization. It's only us. Y'all don't do anybody else like this. Like, why?
Larso has a $5 super chat here that says, "What is your favorite moment of the other team getting owned or put into place? As a Ravens fan, Brady putting the Steelers in place in the playoffs."
I will say last year there was a game that the Browns played the Bengals. I think it was like week, 5 or something.
Oh, it was a Halloween game.
It was a Halloween game. That night, I was in some mood. I made 1,000 regression jokes that night. And I'm just sitting on the couch just giggling.
That was a rough one. That was because the Bengals really thought they had that one, man. They was like, it's Jacoby Brissett.
That was a bad night. My whole stream wasn't even working right. That was just all.
Myles Garrett put Joe Burrow in the graveyard 2 days before the game, and then got like 3 sacks on him. See, now that's some disrespectful shit. Like that's disrespectful to Jonah Williams specifically.
I can't think about one though. Time to think.
Oh, you know what when the Ravens did it to the Titans. That's your favorite.
When the Ravens did it.
When Backett sat on the logo.
Yeah, that I loved. That was all time. I was on a high that day. And then
my favorite is when the Browns beat the 2020 Steelers and had Big Ben crying on the sidelines.
A couple more super chats here, so I want to get through these so we can get to number 3. John Moore for $4.99. Least Ravens moments was AJ Green's game-winning touchdown in 2013 and 14. Steelers, Hines Ward hit Ed Reed out of the game. Same game, Harrison popped Ed as well. Ray Rags for $5 says, Q, how many people watched Tony's least favorite moment against the Browns?
According to Nielsen records, apparently about 45.5 million. Well, actually 55.7 million. According to Nielsen, it did a 25 in the male, 18 to 45, and it did a 12 in the female, 18 to 25. So if you ever meet a young lady, 12% chance she might put that ass whooping on the Pittsburgh Steelers during wild card weekend. You know what I mean? Because 12.9% of them was watching that game. Shout out to them, man. Big Ben cried after that. That was great. Like I could have died after that game, and I would have been all right. You know what I mean?
Well, at least not seen the next.
Or a coma for like the next 2 years, like you know.
Yeah, it was this next couple of years that we're gonna.
That's where the movie can end. Like you know.
Got another one here from Mark. Looks like Odell's back in the division because he says, "Q or everybody, I'm curious who you honestly think Odell is as a player right now. I was so confused watching Browns and Rams Odell."
Man, Browns Odell was good. They just couldn't get him the ball. But and so was Rams Odell. I don't know what Ravens Odell is going to be because he's coming off of that knee injury, but he'll probably be a pretty solid player for him. I think he's probably going to be somewhere around 700 to the low thousands numbers. He's not Odell Beckham Jr. anymore. He's not going to get 1,500 yards or 1,200. But you know, he's going to be, if he's your number 2 in production, you'll be in a great place. If he's your number 1, you'll be in the Allen Robinson place, which is not that good.
That brings us up to number 3 in the rankings. So I kicked this off with mine. I got the Browns here. Not that they're a bad room at all. They just don't have the guy in that room for me to put them over the other 2 teams. I think that they have some good depth. I actually think one of the signings with them signing the guy that came up from the Colts, I believe, is it McLeod? Ronald McLeod. Yeah, McLeod. He's pretty good. So I think that they have tremendous depth there. One of the deepest teams, I think, in the division. Just some slight questions there. And, you know, can those guys elevate to the level of the guys that are remaining in the division? I'm just not so sure about that. So I've got the Browns at 3. Tony, who do you have at 3?
I have the Bengals at 3. And again, you know, you guys all mentioned like the problem here for the Bengals, which is that obviously they're turning an entire room over. Now, this is something that they've been preparing. I mean, this is not like the Steelers turning the entire room over at inside linebacker because, oh, by the way, Miles Jack couldn't stay healthy and Devin Bush was like a complete bust, right? I mean, this is something that I think the Bengals knew was coming, especially when it came to Jesse Bates leaving the team this year. You know, when they couldn't get a deal done with the franchise tag, I think they knew that was done, and they drafted Dax Hill a year ago. under the impression that he was going to have to start after essentially doing not a redshirt year, but like a learning type season. I think the Von Bell loss was probably a little more surprising for the Bengals, right? That's one where I think a lot of people expected Von will be back and they'll pair him with Daxel. So, they had to go out. I know they have Nick Scott from the Rams. They drafted Jordan Battle. I haven't paid attention enough, Ace, to know is there a chance like Battle is actually winning out in any way there, or are we like locked into Dax Hill, Nick Scott are your starters?
I think Dax is actually a lock. I think that there is somewhat of a competition between Nick Scott and Battle, but so far they've been kind of leaning Nick Scott. Like, Battle just recently started getting like first and second team reps, and so a lot of people were puzzled because they were like, "What does that even mean? Like, why isn't he practicing with the first team?" But I think there's a chance. But I think because they gave Nick Scott the money, they're going to give him the chance. But if Nick Scott isn't good, I could see Battle immediately replacing him.
Yeah. And the reason for me putting this 3 over 2, because look, I have a lot of concerns about this room. I think if there's anything about this Bengals team that should worry you and talk about how could this team not live up to their potential, it's the top end of this team. It's the top end of this coming off, right? And they start allowing big plays. You look at how good this secondary's been over the past couple of years, right? Like we got into it over Jesse Bates versus Minka, but I don't think anyone's going to argue Jesse Bates is a bad player, right? The argument's about whether or not he's on Minka's level, which he is not. Yeah, go ahead, Stu.
I made the argument that Jesse Bates ain't that good, but
he's not. Okay, well, we're gonna do this again.
He ain't in the division. I gotta do it.
He literally made me forget that Jesse Bates even made an All-Pro team because I was like, "Oh, we don't have a All-Pro safety anymore." I'm like, "We don't have an All-Pro safety." They were like, "Jesse Bates." I was like,
yeah. Jesse Bates was second team All-Pro that year.
Who was first team?
That would have been. Yeah, boy. The thing was okay. So obviously the Bengals could end up with a problem here if Dax, if Nick Scott, if these guys don't work out, especially communication issue. When you turn an entire room over like this, and it's they're going to be starting Cam Taylor-Britt as well at outside corner. A lot of communication in the secondary that they're going to have to get on the same page about. That could be a worry, especially early on in the year, right? I mean, these things can take some time. So I think that's the biggest concern. But the reason why I have to put them over here is Lou Anarumo. I mean, this guy is a savant as a defensive coordinator. You look at what he's done with the talent he's had. I'm not saying he's had bad talent, but the mark of great coaching is taking talent and elevating it, right? No one's going to argue that the Bengals have the best roster when it comes to defense in the National Football League. But there's a strong argument to be made that when the going gets tough late in football games, you could always count on this Bengals team to make a play. And they were always in the right position. There was not a moment late in football games you can remember like, well, they just completely blew it at the end of that, right? Those were very, very rare. And what was more commonplace over the last couple of years was this team making plays when they needed to make them. And so, I do have a trust that he's going to figure it out, whether it's Dax Hill becoming a star or just a serviceable safety. I think he'll figure it out between Battle and Nick Scott. And just, again, it's about patching this together while these guys all come together because a lot of youth in that room. But I trust that to come together more than what I trust in Cleveland. Because again, in Cleveland, I've talked about this for years. I really like the talent that they have. I mean, this is the same argument I made last week. The Browns have the most talent at corner. I just don't trust them. The Browns probably have the third most talent at safety, but I don't trust them. So I'm putting the Browns 4, putting the Bengals
3. Number 3, I'll put Cleveland here. I think this is a fairly obvious choice, right? It's between Cleveland and Cincinnati. The talent is there. The question is the talent in the right place? And that's the issue that I think they had with John Johnson. They brought in John Johnson, and a lot of us were thinking, I was thinking, Tony was thinking, okay, you're going to put John Johnson down there strong, move Grant to free, and allow John to do some of that stuff where he kind of plays close to the line of scrimmage where he could be a playmaker. But what ended up being the issue was that's what Grant developed into. Grant Delpit actually developed into a more of a line of scrimmage player. I think he had just in the last half of the season, he had 14 or 15 run stops, which is pretty impressive from the safety position. Yeah. And he really developed into that. And it's like, how do you have John Johnson and him on the field at the same time? Then you got to have Ronnie Harrison playing free safety, and he was complete cheeks. Is he in the league still?
He is in the league, but he's not. I mean,
feel like he just signed somewhere, right? Or
Yeah,
he just visited.
John Johnson just signed somewhere, like recently. I think he just signed back with the Rams.
Yeah, he did. John Johnson did, but Ronnie Harrison visited.
Ronnie Harrison's on the Colts. He's yeah. I mean, well, this will tell you everything you need to know about Ronnie Harrison on the Colts. You know what his number is?
Like 40?
48.
Oh no, he's done.
Poor guy. Pouring one out for Ronnie.
He just started over his superstar.
He's from Tallahassee. I remember we talked about that before.
Oh yeah, because he had the chopper on his work Instagram. Like
he also, if you remember,
the team website, dog. Like, you know how crazy it is to have that picture up on the same Instagram that they link to on the team website. That's nuts. That's nuts. But the hope is here that you have these guys at the right spots now, right? Juan Thornhill is going to be playing kind of since the Jim Schwartz defense is so aggressive, he's really just going to be asked to be over top and play it safe and use his instincts every once in a while, but kind of be the safety he was in Kansas City, which is, not the ball hawk that people kind of projected him to be, but he's more of a play it safe, just don't mess it up kind of safety, which is fine there. Grant Delpit's probably going to be underneath a lot, going to be able to do some of the stuff that makes him special there. And then Ronnie McLeod's going to be the other guy who's going to be the vet in the room there. And hopefully these pieces work together. If they all work out fine, I'll say this, it's a safe safety room. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to worry about the safety room being the bane of my existence. And given what I have lived through over the last 4 years with this team, I'm fine with it because I feel like I've been complaining about a safety ever since we started this show. It was Andrew Sadejo. Who was it before Andrew? Was it Demarius Randall? No, Demarius Randall was decent. It was the one dude that threatened to shoot one of our media guys as he played for Auburn at some point. Yeah. Crazy things happen at the safety position in Cleveland. Then we brought in Ronnie Harrison. And then it was the whole John Johnson experience, which was terrible. So hopefully that's settled in. They'll be fine here. They don't have the depth of one team and the star power of another team, according to Pro Football Focus.
Okay, so for me, 3 is the Browns. I got a lot of things that Q said, right? You guys remember the Browns have 3-year draft picks 3 years in a row at that second round pick that we all were like, damn, they stole a guy, Greedy Williams, right?
Yep.
He did it for JOK and Delpit, right? Those 3 was back-to-back years. And I remember for me, like, Delpit, man, they stole Delpit. Now, I thought maybe that first year he's not going to make an impact, but then next year, he's going to be solid. And I feel like I've been waiting for Delpit to be the guy that I thought he was coming from LSU. He's got better. The question for me is, the Browns, I think similar to Tony, is like, are they really going to be good? Are they going to be even decent, right? Are they going to be in place? Are they going to be at a position? Now, there's a new scheme, so maybe that helps them, right? Q saying that they're going to be, what?
I was going to say, can't be worse.
Can't be worse. But they might be aligned in a better position.
They returned one player on the defensive line from last year. It's Myles Garrett. That's how bad it was last year.
But I think with both Bengals and Browns, there's a lot of question marks. If anything, this is what I would say. The floor or the ceiling for the Bengals is higher currently than the Browns because we've seen these Browns already perform, and the Bengals is an enigma. We don't know how they're gonna perform yet, right? You cannot get lower than the floor that the Browns did last year, right? But we shall see. I have them at 3 because I think there's talent, right? I've seen some talents from both Delpit and Thornhill, so I'm not hoping, but I think Schwartz will have them in better position, and they're going to be better than last year.
You're hoping that the Browns have a good defense this year.
No, I'm not hoping, but I think.
All right, that's good to know. Sonny is out here rooting for us.
All right,
appreciate that, Sonny.
We get into the moment.
I'll take back what I said about Roquan.
Until we get into what you guys have all been waiting for, we got 2 super chats here. So Lamontez Fleming for $1.99, appreciate that. Who's going to represent the Steelers now?
Quincy gets to represent the Steelers.
Figure that out because Q is probably gonna go crazy.
This is like when WCW got bought by Vince McMahon. It's like,
well, there's no one that can replace Tony.
Yeah,
we're probably gonna have different guests.
Stop. There's a
no. Who else is gonna take the amount of Steelers hatred that we spew out on this show and be able to reply with witty jokes in response? Like that is the person who has to enter that seat is going to be thrown straight to hell because we are all like it would be like. So we have all coordinated on our Steelers hatred over the last 3 years. We are a fine, well-oiled machine. It's some rookie gonna get in there, sit in that chair, and not know what's about to hit him.
You gotta listen. You don't, as a Steeler fan, you don't realize how much the AFC North collectively hates Big Brother until you. The first time the Steelers have an embarrassment moment, and there's not it is somebody else here. That dude's gonna quit. He's gonna be like, I didn't know it was like this, dog. Everybody, yeah, everybody. You'll see Jet fans just roll in just to shit on the Steelers, like. All of a sudden, Tom Brady fans start coming in the chat.
Like, Jets fans did come out of nowhere. I'm surprised they're not here.
Yeah, where are Jets fans? They're watching Hard Knocks right now.
Got another one here from
they're at a darkness retreat
for $2. Tom Brady respected and feared Ed Reed, not Troy.
There you go, the GOAT.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So with that being said, we're going to kick this one off with Tony, man. I know you guys have been waiting for this. Tony, who do you have at number 2?
Wow, who do you think I have at number 2? You
you already said it.
I already said it's the freaking Ravens, man. The Ravens are 2. Are you kidding me? Are you out of your mind? Okay, Marcus Williams is a nice player. I think we all like Marcus Williams. He's good. I'm going to get myself and Logan Wilson trouble here, where it's like, oh, no, he's the greatest player of all time. Marcus Williams is a fine player. He's good. Is he on Minka's level? Nope. But here's my favorite thing. And again, this is why I'm kind of sad to leave the show because we did this. It's just deja vu. I just have a different person I'm going up against today. We did the whole like, no. You don't understand. We do have a safety on Minka's level thing. And then we watched how that played out over the last couple of years. And, I think we saw that played out. So I'm sad. I'm sad that I won't be here to enjoy the tears, but I will be in chat. So you can look forward to those super chats headed your way. Now let's talk about Kyle Hamilton for a second because, okay, I lied when I said I was going to be only a fan today. I did have to look into some of the Kyle Hamilton stuff. Kyle Hamilton didn't play safety last year. Kyle Hamilton did not play safety last year. He was a slot corner. This man was a slot corner. Okay, he did not play safety. So if we're going to project, if the idea of today's show is that a slot corner is the reason why this team is ahead of
football's focus is number 1 ranked safety.
I'm going to quit the show if that's true. If you guys are going to rank a team ahead of the Steelers, ahead of Minka Fitzpatrick, because of a slot cornerback, I will quit the show.
Hey, is Minka 1 or 2 safety?
Oh my God!
He's on Minka's level as a run defender.
Yeah.
He's not lying, though. He's not lying.
600 snaps, man. Like, doesn't matter where he played. It matters the impact. You know what I mean?
So, this team lost Chuck Clark. They're real safety, okay? The safety that really made this team good last year. That's not the team. He's
on the number 1 safety in PFF tonight. No, he got injured. He got injured. He's out for the year.
Oh, poor Chuck Clark, dude.
That sucks.
So again, I'm sure Ravens fans love to tell us about James Prochet. So I'm sure they're going to tell us about how no, Brandon Stevens can play safety while Hamilton at corner. Again, if we wanted to talk about Colin Hamilton, the show to do that was last week because he played slot corner. So what do we do?
Nope.
Sonny. Tony. Look. He played. He played 92 snaps.
Yeah. What are we doing? What are you talking about?
He played almost as many defensive line snaps as he played.
Safety rankings today. I think today's show has an S, not an NCB, not nickel corner. Okay, we're ranking.
It would be more justifiable to call Kyle Hamilton a linebacker. That's crazy. No, I'm not lying. 106 box snaps. He played free safety 92 times. But Slot, he was at 354 snaps there. You know what I mean? Hold it down. That's crazy. He was good in space. Like, given what people were concerned about with him.
He's not a bad player. He's not a bad player. I'm not saying Kyle Hamilton's bad. Kyle Hamilton's a good player. He's fine. For a slot corner, he's really good.
6'4", 220 at slot is crazy. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
What are y'all going to do with wait, Tony, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Who plays more safety snaps? Kyle Hamilton or Trenton Simpson?
Oh my God.
You know it's a possibility.
Might be even.
Sonny, what you got in response, bro?
Well, I don't want to say anything about the Ravens because I have them a different spot. But I'll give you this, my number 2. My number 2 is the Steelers. And my reason is, I'm going to agree with you on this, Tony.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you. Minka is the best safety in the division. Okay? Minka is an A+ safety.
Yeah.
Be their best safety in the division. But tell me about your other safeties. Keanu Neal.
Yeah.
What was the other guy? No, he has a weird last name. The other star you say.
Damontae Casey?
Yeah, Casey. Right? The what?
Well, these are good players. Keep going.
They're okay players. They're not even close to Hamilton. They are okay players.
Well, I agree. I wouldn't put Casey in the slot. I wouldn't put Neal in the slot either. I would agree with you there.
So the thing with the safeties is the safeties sometimes have to come and cover man on man. Look. The safeties sometimes have to come down and man up against tight ends. They have to man up against running backs, right? So they have to play. They have to be able to cover, right? So I have the Steelers up 2 because even though I think Minka is the best, so I'm not here to debate the Minka is not the best. I'll give you that flower to you, Mr. Sereno.
I appreciate that.
But after that, there's a lot to be desired for this room. I think Minka elevates the rest, allows those other players to be better.
Would you rather have Terrell Edmonds or either Keanu Neal or Damontae Casey?
I don't think that they're far apart.
I don't think Terrell Edmonds.
No, we don't have Terrell.
No, they don't have him.
I thought y'all lost Terrell Edmonds.
No, he's on the Eagles now.
And Keanu Neal played linebacker last year, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So because he was trying to transition to linebacker.
Yeah.
And I think he's going back to safety.
It depends on how you feel about a third safety in a dime set. Like, what is that?
Hey, Sonny. Even though last year, you know who played more free safety snaps? 172.
Well, so.
Wait. So how is this 86 snaps that I'm seeing on PFF? Is that Kyle Hamilton at safety?
Kyle Hamilton has 92 free safety snaps. I don't know how many strong they gave him.
Strong is technically box is strong.
Dog, he didn't play safety at all.
Well, so what happened last year with us? As Tony alluded with the 2 safety sets.
A lot of one high or something like that.
No. We had Chuck Clark.
Preseason filter on. I had preseason filter on.
Gotcha.
And not only that.
Wait, time out. Ace, how many snaps did he have at safety in the preseason?
No, he didn't play in the preseason. He didn't play in the preseason game.
Oh, I was about to say, I know he didn't have 91 in the preseason. That's crazy.
It has 86 snaps for him in the preseason for 2022.
They better get his ass out there and start letting him play safety.
For 2022, yes.
We're going to put him out there cold?
Preseason. That's what.
Yeah, but that was last year. But
How Hamilton's position even free safety though? Let's be fair.
The reason why Q was asking me was because he had basically close to the same amount of snaps in 2022 preseason than he did in the season
at free safety, which he would never really play, even if he was
starting. Strong. He'll play.
So this year they're gonna. I'll talk about the Ravens later. Let me finish it.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to Q.
Well, wait, Sonny, you wanted to finish on Steelers. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No. All I was gonna say is like the Steelers they definitely have. There's the potential to be the top safety in the whole NFL, right? But Minka, I'm asking, not trolling.
Yes.
Was he first team All Pro last year?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously that for me is a lot. That means that he was the top safety last year in the league. But for me, it's the rest. It's the rest, and I think our team has. I would think Minka's an A+, and I'll grade my safeties when it comes to that. But good. I mean, great player for the Steelers. The second safety is to be desired.
All right, Q.
You've heard all the facts, Q. Now you need to make.
Do I decide to be a fan, or do I decide to be an analyst? Do I have an obligation to be fair in these rankings?
No.
I kind of do. That's why I put the Steelers at 2. No. I'm putting the Ravens at 2. I just wanted to put Sonny through the ride. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm putting the Ravens here at 2. This is a nice, strong group. The thing with Kyle Hamilton is I do want to see him when he gets more responsibility, right? He was kind of in a situation where you could blanket a lot of what he does and doesn't do well with not only what you have at the boundary corner position, but what you had over top of him. I want to know if Kyle Hamilton's the real deal when it's just Kyle Hamilton out there with like some help, maybe Marcus Williams there at safety. And it's also going to be interesting to see with Marlon Humphrey potentially missing some games early this season. What does that do to that coverage unit? Like, is Kyle Hamilton the guy that can step up and kind of make up for some of those mistakes like we have seen with Minkah Fitzpatrick over the years with Pittsburgh? So because we don't know for sure yet how good Kyle Hamilton actually is, and we haven't really seen him play what his true position is going to be in the NFL for a season, I can't put them over Pittsburgh. Now, the room is deeper. If we're just going body for body, it is deeper than Pittsburgh's room. But like, let's be honest, y'all. Like Minka's really good. I've been down this road. I remember when I was making all the jokes about how he wasn't that good in Miami and how it's a fluke. And it's been 3-4 years now, and he's still here being very good at football. Yeah. Minka's legitimately really good at football. I guess. Hold on, wait. I just talked myself into a Kyle Hamilton argument because what was Minkah doing in Miami?
He was playing slot corner, but not at the slot. Not good.
It doesn't translate.
Hold on.
It doesn't translate.
So you're saying he was too good at slot corner to be a good safety?
To be a good safety. It just doesn't translate. I mean, it just doesn't.
That's true. If he was
we've
bad,
already seen players who are not good at slot corner
the argument.
Are the best free safety in the league. So, I mean, again, this is just causation correlation stuff. Again.
By the way, I love how a Steeler fan is upset, even though I'm giving him 1 because he's like deeper than the Steelers. I'm like, chill. You're number 1.
Well, I mean.
I know. Y'all can't.
We're highly rating Brandon Stevens right now, but that's
Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton,
or Darius Washington, or Geno Stone. What?
Geno Stone ain't terrible.
Who? Again, and not to get back on the Kyle Hamilton thing, but just you want to know what this team really thought of Kyle Hamilton last year. So yeah, he sprinkled in some.
They got trades. They got the best. They got Roquan Smith out there, helping out.
If you're out there and you happen to be on PFF Premium right now, just go ahead and look at Kyle Hamilton and how his snap count and what positions he played in the playoff game. A meaningful game, a game they had to win, obviously must win.
Oh, let me look that up.
Just look at how many snaps he played at safety in that game.
Did he make any plays that game? That's
a pretty damn good point by Tony. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's a pretty.
He didn't play. He literally didn't play a single, not a single rep at safety.
Yeah, we had a bigger hole on the slot, and he stepped up as a slot corner.
Great job. And you know what? And I ranked the Ravens 2 at corner last week. So we're all good here.
Nah.
The team was a little different last year.
Well, listen, I hope they don't play Kyle Hamilton at slot. I hope they play Arthur Mollett because I've seen a lot of Arthur Mollett.
Mollett will not be. Darius Washington is probably going to be the slot corner.
Y'all need to bring back Tony's homeboy.
Is that better than just keeping Kyle Hamilton in the slot? Because like all jokes aside about Kyle Hamilton, like he was like when they transitioned him to play us in the slot, he was pretty good.
He got 7 tackles for loss
against Tyler Boyd because I kept telling Bengals fans. I remember they used Kyle Hamilton against Tyler Boyd. Now because he was playing in the slot.
Time out. Yeah. He had 7 TFLs in that wild card game.
Who, Kyle Hamilton?
Yes.
Yeah, he's good.
He had a forced fumble. In that game.
Yeah, he's as I said, this guy is a good. Maybe he's on the way to be great.
Man, if the Ravens only had the best if only the Ravens had the best linebacker on the field that night, man, they might have been in the second round in the playoffs that year. But unfortunately, he wore the other jersey.
All right, before I get into my pick here, we got a couple super chats here. So Jeremy Skates, $9.99. Might have missed the conversation if you had it, but do you guys have someone to rep for the Steelers when Tony leaves? Tony, it won't be the same, but we all need a Pittsburgh punching bag. Hashtag go Browns.
A Browns fan is saying this? A Browns fan. I mean, how quickly Browns fans
forget. It's our time. It's our time,
back
Tony.
To week 18, dog. A punching bag. I mean, the punching bag was Deshaun Watson. And by the way, I'll let Browns fans talk about DeMonte Casey and how good he was, because Browns fans remember in that game when Mr. Watson himself looked like a rookie in that game. But don't worry, because as we've seen a million times, he looked like a rookie in that game. But 6-year players in their 7th year always pick it up. That's really always when. Going from your 6th to 7th years when we see a real big.
I mean, it's usually when a player turns 27.
That's when they're going to be great. And for Kenny, by the way, we've never seen a rookie quarterback get better in their 2nd year, so there's no reason to think Kenny's going to get better. There's every reason to think that Watson, going into his 7th season in the National Football League, is going to be night and day different from what he was.
What was the last quarterback that improved in his 2nd year playing?
Joe Burrow.
Nah, that's not his 2nd year playing. He was hurt the first.
He played the first year, and then he got way better in the 2nd year.
He was really good. I tried to tell you guys.
He was really good.
But he wasn't okay. But he took a.
We just saw him for more time. Like, you know what I mean? He beat the Titans that year.
Disagree. I mean,
the Titans were a really good team that year. They beat them on the road.
2nd year players who got infinitely better year 1 to year 2. Yeah, I mean, Burrow's the most recent example. Herbert year 1 to 2. The only one I would say is not true. The only one who came out in his rookie year and was legitimately great from year 1 was
there's a lot.
Mahomes.
Yeah. Well, we don't even know if Mahomes would have been good and not his first year.
Lamar year 1 to 2. Lamar embarrassed himself in that first playoff game. And then the 2nd year,
playoff game, he embarrassed himself again. What you mean? It was worse. They were the West and they lost.
He embarrassed himself the first year, then he embarrassed himself. Sorry.
He went to an MVP season the 2nd year.
1 year, and then he embarrassed himself again.
But yeah, he played like half the year that year, though. Like, so it's
that's my bad. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Got another one here from Ray Rags for $5 too. You're missing the 2020 GOAT Andrew Sadejo. Would you rather have had him last year or keep the same room?
It's funny because when Andrew Sadeo left the room, the team got worse.
All right, got another one here from Nova Stone for $2. Enjoy retirement watching the new GOAT Purdy week 1.
What's he gonna do by the bye? Like what's Nova Stone gonna do by the bye?
Didn't he compare Purdy to like Steve Young?
No,
Tom Brady.
And I'm pretty sure by the bye week, he's going to be off of that. And I'm like, who's he going to go to next? Like, how long until he ends up on Joe Burrow?
Brock Purdy is crazy. All right, so for me, even though Tony made a super compelling argument, I thought that was an extremely creative way to do that. I even thought about it. Ravens fans, I know you guys don't like me. I know you don't like me. But I'm gonna go with the Steelers here at number 2. Now, with that being said,
now I feel like I didn't get it.
Minka Fitzpatrick, I have had to learn the hard way, as Tony said himself. It's crazy because I even have to tell other Bengals fans this that are still hating on Minka. Minka is the best safety in the NFL. I mean, it's proven. I've watched this guy, like, even with TJ Watt there, without TJ Watt. He's doing these pick sixes at the end of games. I don't think it's close when it comes to like the best safety in the league and the division. It's clearly Minka Fitzpatrick. He's an all-pro for a reason. I used to think that there wasn't a valid reason, but since watching this, since being a part of the show, watching the games, Minka's just on a different level. So I've got them here, and that's just because outside of him, they just don't have anybody that you're for sure about. Now I know KZ came in last year. Tony talked about them possibly doing the 3 safety look. They didn't get a chance to because I believe he got hurt before they even got a chance to do that last year. So now we'll be able to see DeMonte KZ, who I think is a pretty solid safety. That's not a bad safety to have there. Then you also have Keanu Neal, who came, I believe, from the Falcons. He was, but I believe he was like a first-round pick, right? He wasn't
out of Florida. He was supposed to be good.
Yeah, so I mean, him being in this system, he'll probably get better. Playing with Minka will probably make him a little bit better as well. I think that they could end up as the top safety group because, as Tony kind of pointed out, we have not seen Kyle Hamilton as a straight-up safety. And you guys also talked about, with Marlon not being there, are they going to still, kind of depend on him to kind of play in the slot? That's neither here nor there, but they do have the better 2 safeties. So I'm going to go with the Steelers here, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers do end up the season as the number 1 group, potentially. Like if Kyle Hamilton, goes down based on him playing in that new safety role, we'll see. But I got the Steelers here, so I think that ties us up pretty much. So
that's it. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So my number 1 team is the Ravens. I think a lot of that has to do with Marcus Williams. I think that also has to do with Kyle Hamilton, who proved me wrong. But in my defense, I said that I didn't know how he's going to play at safety. So clearly he's played at the nickel corner position. He's elite at that. But I think that he'll be a really good safety for them. I think that they got a good guy there. We'll see what happens. The Joker, wasn't his nickname the Joker? Didn't you guys call him?
That was Elliott. Deshaun
Elliott. That was Deshaun Elliott. That was the other Joker. Okay. But the other guy leaves and goes to the Jets. Not really Chuck Clark. I wasn't really surprised. I wasn't a big Chuck Clark fan. I don't know if you guys remember, but when Earl Thomas left, I was like, who is this Chuck Clark guy? Clearly, they felt like they needed to upgrade. He could have been a third safety, but with Kyle Hamilton there, I think the writing's on the wall, and you got Marcus Williams. And then he got traded to the Jets, got hurt, like Sonny said. But I think that the room is actually better off without him just because now you get to actually put Kyle Hamilton into that position and get the maturity and growth that you want from him in that position. So, yeah, I got the Ravens number 1. So, Ravens fans, I'm not just hating on you. I got you number 1. Tony, who's your number 1?
I'm also not hating. This is pure fact-based analysis as usual from me. Unemotional, just no emotions here, just pure facts coming from me. Let's talk about Week 1, 2022.
How many times has he said this in this position review?
Week 1.
Week 1. Hey, let's go back to Week 1.
Let's go back to week. It feels like yesterday, but it was a year ago around this time. Week 1, 2022. I said at the time that was the greatest defensive performance I've ever seen in my life. 1 year later, I stand by it. In a modern NFL, to do what that defense did was nothing short of spectacular. People forget how bad the Steelers offense was at the beginning of last year. They just could not move the football. They had 5 turnovers in that game. They scored 23 points in overtime at the last second. That was Minka Fitzpatrick's best football game he's ever played in his career. He started the game with a pick 6, ended the game by blocking the extra point to send that game to overtime. That was a spectacular performance. What I loved about Minka last year, obviously he had 6 interceptions. That kind of is the headline. 5, 6, I forget what the number is. He led the league in interceptions last year. That's the headline. But I think what's underneath that is like the fact that he was able to do that. It was creative by Tomlin in getting him in those spots again. Because you'll remember the year prior, I think he only had like 2 interceptions the year prior. And the problem that the Steelers started to have back in 2021 was that, well, you're just going to, if you're going to play Minka single high all the time, well, and you're going to rotate him to your best receiver. We're just going to throw away from Minka a lot. And that's what started to happen in 21. What the Steelers did in 22, which I thought was more creative, is to try to use more 3 safety sets, try to use more 2 high looks. But But when DeMonte Casey came in the second half of last season, that's really, I think, when Minkah really got unlocked. I mean, week 1 was fantastic because TJ, Cam, Minkah were all playing at super high levels. They played a lot of cover 2 in that game. But when Casey got healthy, that happened in week 10. So that's right alongside when TJ got healthy. They started playing a ton of 3 safety looks, which allowed them to move Minkah around more, right? When we joke about the poor play that Minkah had last year, or when he started his career in Miami, he played more slot corner last year than he ever has in his career. He played more box. I mean, he just moved around more in that second half of the year because they could finally have a safety in Casey that they could trust. I think Casey's super underrated. I remember the first day of camp last year when Casey had to start because Minkah was out injured at the beginning of last year's camp. Casey was it was an eye opener, and it was very evident in camp last year. This is a guy they can't keep off the field. Like, they brought him in to be a nice third option behind Edmonds, but it was clear that he was going to have to start at some point. And what was neat about it is that they didn't bench Edmonds. Edmonds is a fine player. I've talked about this in the past, right? Edmonds was just overdrafted. He gets a bad rap because he was a first round pick that should have been a third round pick.
Apple effect. Effect.
Exactly. I think DeMonte Casey is exactly what this team needs at safety, which is another guy who can be a over the top. You can trust him over the top. You could never trust Terrell Edmonds as an over the top safety. You had to play Minkah there, or you had to really trust that this team or that Edmonds was going to make a play, and he never really did. So Casey's a player who you can play as that single high and then move Minkah around more, which they've done a ton. And then with Keanu Neal, I think he comes in and kind of fills in. Can Keanu Neal fill in where Terrell Edmonds was at the end of last season as a more in the box, around the ball type player, be good around the line of scrimmage? Because that's all you ever really trusted Edmonds to do anyway. I think the 3 safeties the Steelers have this year, I would argue this is the deepest the Steelers have been at safety ever. I mean, I probably said the same thing on last year's show because I thought Casey was going to be good. Obviously, he got hurt in preseason. So barring injury, this is the deepest the Steelers have ever been at safety. But Minkah is the best. I mean, Minkah is absolutely the best safety in the league. And again, I think Casey, for what this team wants to be, which is to move Minkah around more, to be able to create more splash. And Casey's more of a ball hawk. Casey had 2 interceptions in the, what did he play, 270 snaps or whatever it was last year? He had 2 interceptions. Terrell Edmonds had 500 snaps last year in coverage, 0 interceptions. So that's what the Steelers want to be. They want to be a more ball hockey team. I think KZ fits that bill. And again, you're bringing Neal in, or someone like Keanu Neal, whether it's Neal or Kenny Robinson or whoever ends up winning that third or fourth corner spot or safety spots. You want that person to be better around the line of scrimmage, like you would call him like a linebacker in a dime spot. So I love this. I love this Steelers safety room. I think KZ, honestly, for the kind of defense that they play, I understand like they're similar players. You wouldn't rank KZ as a better overall player than Terrell Edmonds, but I think for what the Steelers want at safety, he's a better option there because he allows them to be more creative with Minkah and get Minkah in positions to be the playmaker that he is.
All right. Yep. No, all good. Sonny, you're on mute, buddy.
Sorry, I have the Ravens 1. Look, Cal Hamilton, it was the talk of the show, but Williams is the best safety between the two. Williams,
play safety.
He is a pure free safety.
Yes.
If you think about grading, I would say Minkah's an A+. I will say Williams got injured mid-season, right? I think he missed 7 games, I think. And then he played with a calf to finish the year. I'll call him like an A- B+. And I think Kyle Hamilton is also like a near B+ player. I think Cal was moved all around, and the hope this year for the Ravens is to have them be interchangeable, right? Using Kyle and Williams. Sometimes one of them will go free, sometimes one will go to box. One thing that did surprise me about Kyle Hamilton, and I know you guys are joking like, oh, he played a lot of slot, which is fine. As a 6'4" dude, how he was covering tight ends, how he was covering running backs coming out of the backfield. That for me was very impressive. Even some wide receivers in the slot position. That was super impressive. I don't remember the last time that I see a safety with that versatility. Right? You have your free safety, and then you have your box safety, and when you have your safety lined up in man against one tight end, running back, or receiver, you usually are like, God help us. We need to get to that quarterback, or we need to pressure him enough that ball comes quickly because that safety is usually a liability against whoever is covering. It's very rare to have a safety be such a good in coverage, open man-to-man defense. So I think that it was encouraging. He didn't start strong at the beginning of the year, and then he got better as the year went through. This last year, the Ravens had 2 established safety, and in the case of Kyle Hamilton, they did the same thing that the Bengals did with Dax, right? It was supposed to be like, well, we're gonna have him for a year, and then the next year he plays safety. Well, there was a hole in the slot corner, and then he performed excellent. I can only imagine that this year he will take it to the next level. He's a very studious of the game type of guy. And then having Williams with him, I think Williams is a very underrated player. I mean, most people, including myself, when he came to the Ravens, all I remember was like, yeah, I remember this Williams. I remember you. I remember the Saints play, right? When for those that don't remember that, his rookie year, he whiffed on a tackle. And then
that was the Stephon Diggs, right?
Yeah, Stephon Diggs scored a touchdown for the Vikings. And that's basically what I knew about Williams coming in. Obviously, when we signed him, I saw a lot of his play. I'm like, okay, he looks good. And he, with us, was great. Early in the year, he was great. Obviously, he got injured. And then later in the year, he was also great. So I think the combination of the two will be excellent. Then you have a guy like Geno Stone. In the case of Geno Stone is a serviceable safety. He did play a lot of safety last year because since we had a corner problem in the slot. They pushed Kyle Hamilton in the slot. I believe they tried him on the safety, and then the slot was getting killed. So they went back to him in the slot, and they threw Geno in the other safety position with Chuck Clark. And that worked better for the defense because the slot position was getting killed. So Geno is a serviceable safety, more on the strong side than the free side, but still serviceable. And then those are your main 3 for the Ravens. They have others that have played safety, but they're been moving them more into the corner. I think with the Ravens secondary, they move them all over the place. Because the idea is you can have interchangeable positions, right? You can move these guys all over the field. You want to have them confuse the defense. You don't want them to know who's coming down, who's going up, and that's how the Ravens want to play with their safeties. So I think this room is versatile. I love the room. I love the players. I want to see the growth in Kyle Hamilton because if he performs even better this year, then the players find a gem. Because if y'all remember, I wasn't a fan of the pick in that draft. Right? I was like, we needed to get Linderbaum. Now we got him later on, but even with that, I said like we should have gotten a receiver. Right? I think that's what I wanted at 14 that year. Yeah. But anyway, he played great last year, and I'm looking forward to see both of them starting as safety day 1 and see how they play together.
I think we can. I mean, yeah, going back to that pick, it is interesting, right? Because he was the 14th overall pick that year.
I think I was the only one. Well, no, I love that pick. I think Tony probably seems like a guy who would like that pick too.
Well, I mean, I just think, in retrospect, right? You look back at that pick. I mean, 14 is just way too high to take a nickel corner. You know what I mean? Like a guy like Brian Branch was a second round pick this year. So it's just like, man, I mean, that's, you want to talk about overdrafting.
Oh
right?
my God.
It doesn't get talked about enough,
Wow.
All right, we got 2 super chats, and I'm gonna throw it to Q to take us out here. Chris B, $2. DTR is better than Kenny.
Start him. He'll be starting by midseason. Let's be honest.
Just because he's better than Kenny don't mean he could start on the Browns.
He might be better than your starter. So
Clay Harper for 199 says Anthony Walker still equals Roquan.
Yeah. Man, the Browns are just ridiculously. Our role players are just better than some of y'all starters and stars. But I feel like I've been betrayed here because how many of y'all gonna make me agree with Tony? Y'all couldn't slide me one, hit me with the tap under the table. Can I change minds?
Group hug.
This is how it. And then he just abandons me completely.
Yep.
All right. Probably got on the elevator or something like that. But Yeah, I guess I'm stuck here with the Steelers. I looked up the first 5-week splits. I'm like, maybe I could wiggle out of this because Marcus Williams was technically better in the first 5 weeks than me. No, it wasn't nothing like that.
Back.
I can't wiggle out of it, dog. Like safety's one of them positions. If you have a great safety, you just have a great safety room. Like, and that's just what Minkah has enough around him that you have a great room because he can just dominate so much of the conversation as safety. Now, the Ravens have a good secondary, right? They have some good corners. They have some guys that can move in and out of the slot. And they have a very serviceable, solid safety in Marcus Williams. He's kind of like you know how phones have the pro models?
Yeah.
He's like the Chuck Clark pro model. You know what I mean? Like Chuck Clark, you can get that free. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like that he's Chuck Clark plus. Like that's what you're getting there. You know what I mean? Really good player.
Slander.
Fringe pro bowler. But you're never gonna look at the Ravens roster and go, "Oh God, Marcus Williams is on the schedule this week, y'all." Like that's just not how that goes. Like he's not one of the dudes you name when you play against them. And even Jesse Bates had that, right? Like we would at least entertain the thought that Jesse Bates was that level of player, or at least had the argument. But I don't think anybody ever, when we've been previewing these, when we previewed these games last year, was like, oh my gosh, yeah, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do when we play the Ravens in Marcus Williams. Like y'all gonna give that to Roquan whether he deserves it or not. You know what I mean? So it's just hard for me in a position that is so much dominated by one player and his ability to make plays to give that to another team because I feel like they're deeper when I feel like Minkah is so much better than their team's best safety at this point. Maybe if Kyle Hamilton becomes what I saw him become in college, he could be generational.
Did Sonny's face freeze on?
Yeah, he just can't. He can't believe it.
He's like, bro,
it didn't change.
He's like, I live in the States. It's not that hard to get to Georgia now. Like,
What I do love about this show, this is obviously this is it. Putting a bow on one of the first debates we had on this show. It might not have even been this show. It might have been the shows we did on Sonny's channel. One of the very first debates we had was about the Minkah trade. So what warms my heart is that we went from that show where everyone was like B+ safety, he's just okay, he's not great. And now today we are all in agreement in a very kumbaya group hug moment on my way out the door. Minkah Fitzpatrick is an A+ safety. I appreciate it.
Some things change. And some things don't, because we still talk about this Ravens pass rush committee. You know what I mean? We're still talking about this group of guys.
I'm not catching all the straight.
Get a task force together, boys, because
it's about the combination.
Sign up today. There's a sign up sheet on your way out. If you want to be a Ravens pass rusher, they are open tryouts right now. They need all the help they can get out there.
Be like, hey man, everybody said your best pass rusher. The Steelers sent TJ Watt. The Browns said Myles Garrett. The Bengals said Trey Henderson. The Ravens said Kyle Hamilton.
If find Devion Clowney, he'd be their best pass rusher. That's how dire it is.
No, Pat Queen's still the best pass rusher on the team. Like let's.
I'm putting over and under on Pat Queen having more sacks than Odafe Owe. I'm really gonna do that.
I would say, what's the over/under on Pat Queen? Who has more sacks? The combination of Pat Queen and Kyle Hamilton, or the combination of Jadeveon Clowney and Odafe Owe?
Clowney's not a Raven.
If Clowney becomes a Raven, you know what you go. You know
because PQ gets a lot of sacks from the blitz.
Clowney not be the best edge rusher, not linebacker, just edge rusher. If you guys signed him,
I'm doing this to him again.
Sonny's like, can he slander Odafe Owe this badly right now?
Yeah.
This man back in the States, 1 minute we got him back again talking about Odafe. Like, let this man.
Yeah.
Woo boy.
His best pass years were spent in England.
I have hopes for a Jabba.
Mm-hmm. I can respect that.
When the Tyus Bowser, when we did the show originally?
No, Tyus Bowser's still there, and he's good.
He's still on it. We still waiting on Tyus Bowser's breakout.
No, because he's serviceable, right? Because what the Ravens do with the outside linebacker, right? Sometimes they have to drop in coverage and all that, and that's where Tyus Bowser excels. So he can move around a lot. He's quick and versatile. In the case of Oweh, well, I don't want to talk about Oweh. This is a safety show. Let's go.
We're gonna talk all of this shit about the Ravens' inability to have edge rushers, and they're still gonna be like number 2 in the division in sacks.
Yeah, they are. Ray Rags 14.
Maybe they put Roquan at edge.
Super chat here says, one last donation to Tony's degenerate gambling fund. Thank you for the great shows. Even as a Browns fan, I'll miss you on this show.
Who's going to make the Pro Bowl interesting now? Like, we're screwed during Pro Bowl week. You know what I mean? Because Tony's the only one out here trying to watch it.
That's right. By the way, I appreciate that, Ray Rags. Yeah, I will get some. Maybe should I just bet on the Steelers right now to win the division? Let's see what that live odds I can get right now with that $20. Ray Rags, I'm gonna put that money to use right now. You're gonna watch me on the show, my last show. We're gonna put down 20 on the Steelers to win the division. I don't know what odds I'm.
It probably pays out like $2,000.
Jupiter Rain for $2.
Gotcha.
The Ravens have a elite defense or not? No pure number one. I don't even know what that means.
If you're number one, I'm not sure either. But the thing with the Ravens is the Ravens have been in the past years. I'm not gonna say always. Past years, very good defense. Not the top defense in the league, but they float around the top 5, right? 5, 6, 7, around there. Overall defense. So I still consider them to. I mean, I don't know if you consider having the 5th or 6th best defense elite. I don't know, but they're gonna be a top of the league defense.
Yes,
top what? 10? 5?
I think they're around 5, 6, 7, around there.
Where do you put? Okay, hold on. I have another question. Where do you put the Bengals defense? Top.
I think the Bengals and Ravens are about the same.
Steelers.
Wait a minute.
With the Steelers.
Wait a minute. What's about to happen here?
I think the Steelers might be a little above Bengals and Ravens.
Okay. Wait, where the Browns at then?
Yeah. 32.
Not 32.
32. We got the best 32 player in the division.
I think the Browns are in the.
If you want to find the Browns, just go to that table and sort descending. If you want to find the Browns.
Descending.
Oh,
clip this, guys. Clip this. Clip this. We will have our revenge.
All right. Well, that is going to bring this show to an end. The great Tony Serino is going to be taking a break. He's going to go on hiatus. He's taking a break from podcasting. So we wish him the best. Hope that he enjoys this season as a fan. Q, Sonny, was there anything that you wanted to say to Tony before we get out of here?
I would like to direct everybody's attention to the North scoreboard. We don't have a video package for the thank you, Toonie video package.
I will say this, Tony, I enjoy working with you. I'm hoping, and I think I can speak for the other 2 co-hosts as well. I'm hoping in a year from now you miss us a lot and you want to come back. Show won't be the same without you. I know the fans will, say the same thing. You were great. I mean, you became a friend to us, all 4 of us. We definitely vibe outside the show as well. So we'll stay in touch. I hope your Steelers suck, but
I hope you have a miserable year, though.
Yeah, I hope you have a miserable year. But hey, take it easy, man.
But in all seriousness, it was always a joy to have Tony on the show. Instant chemistry with everybody and Tony. I feel like specifically too between me and him, because we would just get on for a channel video recording for our channel. And we're like, oh, we recorded 2 hours of video out here, just like falling into like different meme rabbit holes. It's like when they say when it works with the quarterback and the wide receiver, is like you don't even got to plan nothing. It just goes out there and it happens. friends. And that's what it felt like when Tony joined us from day one. Never really thought about it, never really felt like work. It's gonna be less. This is the biggest honor I could give Tony. It's gonna be less fun making fun of the Steelers now. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I'm gonna have it in me to make all it. I might have to like grade Kenny Pickett fairly now. You know what I mean? Like it's just gonna completely ruin the dynamic of this show. Where are my Allen Robinson jokes gonna go? You know what I mean? Our deep lore meme jokes, like whenever I reference community, who's gonna understand what I'm talking about? It's gonna fall on deaf ears. But in all the seriousness, it's gonna be tough doing the show without Tony. And without Tony, we don't have this dynamic that so many of y'all have enjoyed throughout the years. But you don't lament what you don't got going forward. You just appreciate what you had.
Yes, sir. Tony, did you have anything you wanted to say before you get out? Oh, we can't hear you, bro. The mic died.
Oh,
hello,
damn. We got to end the show. No.
Yeah, right. Well, no, look, this has been some of the most fun I've ever had podcasting. And like Q just said right there, it was this show was born out of the instant chemistry that the four of us had. For those of you who don't know how this show got created, we were on Sonny's channel as just doing a roundtable show. And I was in the, at that same time, I was in the middle of quitting the last podcast I was on, Locked On Steelers, where I was thinking about taking time off and hey, I'm not going to do podcasting this year. And we all came together and said, hey, we should do a show because it was so much fun. This has genuinely been an incredible 2 years of trash talking and fun. What I love about this show is that we can straddle that line between having serious conversations about our teams and what's going on, and then just getting a completely absurd, this show at some point turned it into prop comedy, we just all tried to one up each other when it came to props. And it
did Ace have a light show at some point during the 2021 season?
We're doing sound effects. It got crazy.
We were released a shirt that got on the news during that season, dog. It got out of hand.
It was so. Again, this has been so much fun. So, Ace, I've so much enjoyed doing shows with you. You like me are very much a numbers guy. If for those of you who are not following Ace on Twitter, you definitely should, because especially if you're a Bengals fan, this guy has actually created an algorithm around draft. The Bengals draft. So much enjoy doing the show with you. Sonny, obviously, you deserve so much credit, first of all, for getting us all together, right? I mean, when we talk about how this show got started, Sonny is that guy. But Sonny, what I enjoy about Sonny the most, he's a trenches guy. This guy, he loves him some trenches. And when it came time to analyze the game, you knew where Sonny was going to start. It's all about them. It's all about that O line versus the D line. Sonny, so much fun doing shows with you. And Q, yeah, like you said, obviously, you and I have had some battles on this show. We've had some back and forth, but it's all been in good fun. And that's what's been great about this show, right? Is that we've been able to trash talk each other's teams, but stay friends through it. And I hope that, yes, I am leaving the show. This will probably be my last show. Well, it is my last show. It will probably be my last show forever. We'll see what happens with the whole retirement thing. But I hope we can stay friends, because the stuff we do on this show, the stuff we do for the viewers, obviously it happens behind the scenes as well. And I hope to stay friends with the three of you. To the viewers out there who watch this or watched me over the last couple of years, I have so much respect for you, because as I said last week,
it was just me or Tony froze.
No, it's just you. He's talking.
Oh.
As I said last week on the show, right? I have so much respect for the fans of this show, because it's so easy to find a bubble to live in where your team is the best team in the league. Your team has no flaws. This is a show where we genuinely talk only about the flaws of the other teams, right? I mean, we are so quick to point out every little flaw, right? I mean, Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the league right now, with an argument maybe even to be the best. I mean, him and Mahomes go back and forth. But the first time me and Q watched him play, we both arm strength with Joe Burrow. Arm strength is going to be an issue with Joe Burrow, right? I mean, that's this show, right? And, so again, if you are watching this show, it is because you are opting in to hearing that style of criticism, which I think is so rare in modern media. So shout out to all the fans out there. I'm going to miss doing this show. I'm going to miss everybody. I'm going to miss you fans. But with that, bye.
If you're an Allen Robinson fan and you watch this show, You are the tough one. You are the toughest.
Well, we appreciate you guys for tuning in to AFC North Talk. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, and we will be back with you guys next week.